Okay, so as one or two you may know, I'm in the process of upgrading my vintage collection into their modern counterparts, trying to get the definitive version of each figure. So what you're looking at today is my process so far. I thought I'd done better than he had, but I've gone through my figures. I'm not doing that great, but what I'm doing, I'm pretty pleased with. So I'm going to start you off with the first 12, which were the first 12, obviously the first 12 figures released in the New Hope line, or as it was back then, just the Star Wars line. So I'll start you off with these guys, the Stormtroopers. As you can see, back in 77, 78, they're just basically, straight up, straight down, swivel arms, swivel legs, and nothing in the neck. But nevertheless, all the details are finally represented. And then there's this guy, which is the vintage OTC Stormtrooper. Let's see if I can get you in a bit closer. Who is, nicely movie accurate. And you can see all the details are there in the vintage figures. They have tried the very best with the limited technology and financial constraints, to keep them cheap rather than being overly expensive back in the day, because we don't have the technology back then that we do now, which becomes more and more apparent as you go through. Here we have Jawas. Now there's a bit of a story to the cloth cape one. I picked him up because he looks somewhat nicer, and a week later I went to the flea market in our town and then the vinyl cape, and I thought it was a knockoff one, so I left it, and boy am I kicking myself now. So I can just swivel him around, his face is in there. It's a pretty neat looking figure. This was the Jawa from the Legacy collection that came with the Wed Droid, another fine piece. Now, not everybody's favourite 3PO, but surely is mine, is the Vintage Collection 3PO. He's just perfect, spot on, looks like he's been taken straight from the screen. Yeah, he's a little small, but as Hasbro explained, his sculpt shrank more than he expected. And I mixed them up a bit, so I'll put, and there we have the vintage C3PO. Okay, swivel neck, swivel arms, and legs, obviously. I mean, the details there, granted it could be better, but we're talking 34, 35 years ago. But it's still nevertheless a nice figure. This isn't the removable limb 3PO, this is the first 3PO release. Also have the removable limb 3PO. Right now we have the R2 from Resurgence of the Jedi, R2-D2. Here we have the this one, the modern counterpart. And there we have the vintage, with a pretty off-coloured, yet you see there's a clicking motion that we got with him. There we go. As you can see, the dome is incorrect, but still a nice representation. So you may have your own personal favourites for each of the characters. These are only in my opinion. Oh yeah, look what I got. That's near enough the side, just a little bit shorter than my radiator. Okay, now on to Luke Skywalker Tatooine, the yellow-haired version, which was, I believe, the early bird box one. And then there's the sandy-haired version, which was the carded release. And then of course we have the resurgence of the Jedi Luke Skywalker, who is a dream come true. Gotta love that face sculpt. Just use the light and we'll have another really bad weather day in the UK. Well, certainly in the northwest of the UK. So I'm going to use a little torch thing to try and give you a decent look. There's old Ben Kenobi. Yeah, quite decent face sculpt on him considering. With his vinyl cape. His lightsaber there. Actually have a bit in there. Now, me being a fool, they used to have a little really thin bit of plastic that come off the end there, and I used to pull them off thinking it was just flashing or to be discarded, but it was actually supposed to be part of the lightsaber. That was my error. It's still a favourite of mine. And there we have the Obi-Wan that was released in the Legacy collection, and obviously this one is the Resurgence of the Jedi version. Yeah, basically just to show you how things have come as well, how far they've come. You have the Dark Lord of the Sith, Lord Vader himself. It's again with a vinyl cape, a telescoping lightsaber, and then onto the Vader from the Legacy collection. This is the two-piece helmet version, which I've glued on because I'm sick to death of knocking it off. Got really annoying. One of the reasons I like this is because at last we get cloth mid-cloak rather than plastic. Now, none of you are going to be surprised that this is my favourite character. This is the large head Han. Yeah, they made a fair attempt at Harrison's face sculpt, which becomes even more apparent if you look at the Gentle Giant 12-inch version of these. They have made a good attempt at recreating the likenesses. This is the Legacy Death Star Escape Han, and I swapped the belt out for the one that came with the BMF. That's one of my favourite Hans. I know a lot of people aren't too fussed on that facial sculpt, but I don't know, I kind of like it. But it does the job. But poor lighting doesn't help. There's Chewbacca looking quite happy or shocked. Vintage collection. And there we have Chewbacca that came in the BMF. He's actually a lovely figure, really, really superb. And then we have the Tusken Raider. Again, vinyl cape. We're going to get used to that as we go along. And then we have the Saga 06 Tusken Raider, who is absolutely beautiful. I love this guy. I do hope this makes a re-release in the Saga Saga Legends. I have reviewed this guy, so go check that out if you've not seen it yet. So cool. There was another one of the 12, which was the Death Star Trooper. I have the vintage, and I never got round to picking him up when he was released on the 30th anniversary. But luckily, Wave 3 of the Saga Legends includes him, so I'm chuffed about that. Next up, I'm going to give you a look at some of the other figures from A New Hope. So I'll go through each of the figures that I do have in modern version, and then I'll show you the ones that's desperately needed to complete